What is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global here, back with another video, and in this one, we're going to be talking about Odell Beckham Jr. to the New England Patriots yet again. This is a discussion that at this point we are having annually. We're having this discussion every single year, but this might actually be the time where the discussion is legitimate and where the opportunity might genuinely be there. Now, the Cleveland Browns are actually looking at releasing wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., and by the time this video comes out, he very well could be released. Now, a lot of you are probably asking yourselves, well, Patriots Global, isn't the trade deadline over? How are they going to acquire Odell Beckham Jr.? That's not going to be through trade. You heard it right. They are straight up going to be releasing Odell Beckham Jr., and this is more so coming off of issues that have happened in recent history, but especially as of late. More specifically, the last few days, which we will get into in this video. But there really was not a lot of talk, at least trade talk, around Odell Beckham Jr. at the trade deadline. The only rumors we were hearing about a potential deal was Odell Beckham Jr. to the New Orleans Saints, but unfortunately, the two sides cannot come to an agreement. I'm sure that the Browns would have given up, or would have been okay with anything that the Saints were giving up, because it is better to straight up get anything back, whether it's a conditional 6th or 7th round pick, whether that's a 5th round pick. No matter what the compensation is, it's always better to get something out of a player than to get absolutely nothing. Now, it is important to say that Odell Beckham Jr., from what I am hearing, does have to clear waivers before he can go and sign with any other team. So this isn't as easy as right away Odell Beckham Jr. gets to sign where he wants to. At first, he will have to clear waivers from all 32 teams, and then he can choose where he would want to go. Now, I think the only thing that is going to be holding teams back from claiming or putting in a waiver claim here for Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be that contract, because, if he's a free agent, that contract is totally expunged. When you're a free agent, you have no contract from your former team. Doesn't matter how long ago you were released, you start brand new. But if you're still in waivers or you claim a player from waivers, you are taking on the contract from the previous team. Now, Odell Beckham Jr. is signed through the 2023 season, which means he will be a free agent in 2024. So if a team did claim him off of waivers, he would still have a few years here under his belt. In 2021, he's expected to have a cap hit of $15.7 million, and then in 2022 and 2023, he would have a cap number of $15 million even. That's what really kind of dictates to me on, I think he will become a free agent. It does depend on, what teams genuinely have $15 million sitting around, but also Odell Beckham Jr. has not been Odell Beckham Jr. for years. I would say the last year or two that he was with New York, but especially since he was traded to the Cleveland Browns, he has not been the same Odell Beckham Jr., and is someone really going to want to pay that $15 million for a waiver claim? I also think if you're any team interested in Odell Beckham Jr., kind of knowing that there's a little bit of a diva side to him, knowing that there has been these issues that is leading to the Cleveland Browns releasing him straight up, maybe you kind of want to sit back, show your interest in Odell Beckham Jr., but nonetheless, not necessarily put in a waiver claim for him, because at the end of the day, you don't want Odell Beckham Jr. to pull this same thing within your franchise that he pulled with the Cleveland Browns. You want him to go to a place that he genuinely wants to be. Now, despite his lackluster performances over the last several years in the NFL, I do still expect multiple teams to be interested in Odell Beckham Jr. That, of course, including the New England Patriots, and interestingly enough, the New England Patriots are second favorites to land Odell, just behind the New Orleans Saints. And I think a big reason that the Saints are, so heavily involved are, one, because they almost finalized a deal with the Cleveland Browns before the trade deadline, but also because Michael Thomas is officially out for the entire 2021 season. Now, I do expect the Patriots to definitely be interested and to do their due diligence on Odell, but the big question is, how much of an interest do they genuinely have? We've seen several times in the past, even in recent history, where Bill Belichick is said to be interested in a player, but ultimately does not pull the trigger on that player. He does his due diligence, he's interested, but he doesn't do enough in order to land the player. How does he feel about Odell here? Like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, the Patriots have been linked back to Odell Beckham Jr. for several years. I mean, again, this is a discussion we have annually, except usually we're talking about trading for Odell and not signing Odell because he's a free agent. Let's keep in mind that right before he was traded to the Cleveland Browns, I believe a year prior. There was rumors going around that, the Giants might be shopping Odell Beckham Jr. The Patriots hopped in, almost finalized a deal for Odell, and then the Giants last minute pulled out and said, you know what, we'd like to keep him. A year later, they traded him to the Cleveland Browns. Now, we do know that Odell Beckham Jr. has always wanted to play for the New England Patriots. He has a ton of respect for Bill Belichick. Belichick would always, when he would have to go up against Odell, would always give him nothing but high praise. But to me, the question genuinely comes down to, okay, does Odell Beckham Jr. want to play for Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots, or did he want to play for Tom Brady? Was it Tom Brady and the New England Patriots Super Bowl winning team constantly that Odell wanted to be on, or did that he really wanted to be a part of the New England Patriots franchise with Bill Belichick? I think that is going to be two very separate things, and it really has to go in the way of the Patriots' favor because obviously I think, they're a playoff team for sure. This is a team that I definitely think can squeeze into the playoffs this year and has hope going forward into the next several years in the NFL. But obviously, they are not a Super Bowl caliber team that has Tom Brady under center. Now, although they do not have Tom Brady, they do have Mac Jones, who is very Tom Brady-esque and is easily the best quarterback coming out of the 2021 class. Honestly, I'm not sure why he'd want to go to Chicago. I'm not sure why he'd want to go to the 49ers. I'm not sure why he'd want to go to Jacksonville. If you're the Saints, who's going to be throwing him the ball? Yeah, he's going to be the best receiver there right now. Who knows what happens with Michael Thomas after the 2021 season? But if you're Odell Beckham Jr., I think at this point, you're not necessarily looking for a huge contract. Everybody disrespects Odell Beckham Jr. To the extreme. Odell Beckham Jr. is not the receiver he was when he caught that one-handed catch in the end zone with the Giants. People do not view Odell as a wide receiver 1 anymore, and a lot of people don't even view him as a wide receiver 2. I think at this point, Odell is looking for that respect. He's looking to gain that respect and prove that he is still one of the best receivers in the league. He's a top 10 receiver and is a number 1 receiver on rosters. With that being said, you're definitely going to need a quarterback that is going to get you the ball. And if you're the Saints, with Jameis Winston now being out, they have several question marks on who is going to be that quarterback. If you're looking for an accurate quarterback who's going to get you the ball, the best way to go is the New England Patriots. With that being said, though, the New England Patriots are pretty stacked along their offense that I don't think a lot of people give a lot of recognition to. Do they have a pure and true number 1 elite wide receiver? No, but that doesn't mean that they don't still have talent around the tight end and wide receiver core. New England does still have Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers. I'm not going to really say much about Gunnar Olszewski or N'Keal Harry because obviously they are not much pure pieces in this equation. But then you look at the 2 tight ends they have. They have Hunter Henry, they have Jonnu Smith. They have a lot of pieces they are still trying to figure out, especially after a big offseason in free agency. And really, if you look at the Patriots season so far, Mac Jones really does like to distribute the ball. He's not going to constantly go to one guy. Is Odell Beckham Jr. still going to get the looks that he specifically wants with the New England Patriots with these, still high-end additions that New England has? Now, I do definitely 100% believe that New England will give him more looks than what he has seen in Cleveland. I mean, last week, he only saw 1 target on 1 reception for 6 yards, He's clearly not getting looks there in Cleveland, especially with, Cleveland having multiple pieces along their offense with Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper, etc. But is a distribution to Odell Beckham Jr. going to be enough for him on the New England Patriots offensive system? Now, this whole Odell Beckham Jr. situation really did happen very, very quickly, and it really did take social media by storm. Earlier this week, the Browns were saying that they were actually hoping to get Odell Beckham Jr. more involved within their offense, and then on Tuesday, social media just caught on fire because Odell Beckham Jr.'s dad posted a video of several incidents where Odell Beckham Jr. was open and, the Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield just never gave him the ball. Then, of course, you had LeBron James commenting on this whole situation with hashtag #FreeOBJ. And like I said, social media just went on fire since this all occurred on Tuesday. Like I mentioned, that all happened on Tuesday, and it became very obvious just a day later on Wednesday that Odell Beckham Jr. played his last game for the Cleveland Browns, and Cleveland Browns coach Kevin Stefanski reportedly did tell the Cleveland Brown team, that Odell Beckham Jr. would no longer be a part of their team. And after being excused from practice both on Wednesday and Thursday, it does look like his release is imminent. Now, New England currently has somewhere between $2 to $7 million available in cap space. I know that they don't have a ton to give Odell Beckham Jr., but I know a lot of teams don't have a ton to give Odell Beckham Jr. at this current time. And I think considering the situation that he's in about halfway through the 2021 NFL season, Odell shouldn't be expecting a huge contract at this current moment. And again, if Odell's genuinely looking to chase that huge contract right now, he should either sign a one-year deal or just wait till the offseason to sign with another team. Now, if I'm the New England Patriots, I know that, Odell is not worth $10, $15 million a year or even more. So what I would do personally with Odell Beckham Jr. is if I'm the Patriots, I'm looking to sign him. I'm giving him a 2-year, $14, maybe $15 million contract, averaging between $7 to $7.5 million a year. I think that is a pretty decent number for him. That's a respectable number for a guy who has shown amazing production throughout his career. Starting in 2014, he had over 1,000 yards in his rookie year, his sophomore year, his junior year, his fourth year then in the NFL, he only put up about 300 yards, but only played in 4 games. And then his final year in 2018 with the Giants put up over another 1,000 yards. In 2019, his first year when he was traded to Cleveland, also put up just over 1,000 yards. But then unfortunately for him, in 2020, only put up 319. And in 2021 so far, has only put up a total of 232 yards on 34 targets and 17 receptions. That $7 to $7.5 million, again, is a respectable number for both sides because Odell Beckham Jr. is still a household name, so you do still have to give him respectable money for that. But again, you're not the Odell Beckham Jr. we once saw a few years ago where you were constantly putting up over 1,200 yards. Excuse me, guys, the mic cut out there, but constantly putting up over 1,200 yards per season. Real quick, I do want to give a shout out to the sponsors of this video, betonline.ag, guys. BetOnline is back and better than ever as all eyes are on the Gridiron team to start yet again another football season. And as always, BetOnline is your #1 spot for all pro and college football action this season. With a new updated site and interface and even more props and odds and contests, BetOnline continues to be the #1 source for everything football. Guys, all you got to do is head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 100% off welcome bonus. That is double your initial deposit just for signing up. Do not forget to use that promo code NFL100. Again, that is NFL100. From football to basketball to boxing, even to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all of the amazing offers still available for the 2021 season. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. But guys, I will continue to have you covered for everything involving Odell Beckham Jr. being related back to the New England Patriots. But what are your guys' thoughts on the situation, and do you want Odell to the New England Patriots? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on this video and subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news, and hit that bell notification once you do subscribe so that you do get notified for all of my uploads and lives and also community posts. But like always, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Go Pats.